Have you ever told yourself, I can do this? But inside, a voice said, you can't do it. You worked hard. You tried. You told yourself, just believe. But reality? Nothing changed. Same struggles. Same failures. So what's the truth? The problem isn't belief. The problem is that your belief isn't truly yours. Joseph Murphy's Believe in Yourself reveals this one hidden mistake that is silently blocking your entire power. Now the real question is, how do you unlock it? Because this is the point where most people make a mistake. And this is what you're about to understand today. The real reason why your confidence keeps breaking again and again, no matter how much you try. A mental habit that is quietly controlling your every decision, and you don't even notice it. The method through which you can set your mind in a new direction without struggle. Why some people move ahead even in the same situation, while others stay stuck right there. A psychological shift that will completely change how you see failure. The connection between imagination and belief, which Joseph Murphy considers the most powerful, and a simple daily practice that quietly reprograms your subconscious mind. And finally, a bonus insight that connects all of this. And honestly, if you genuinely apply it, your life won't stay the way it is right now. But before that, if you're new here, this is Book Echo English, where we talk about books that don't just give knowledge, they deliver results. No theory, no lecture, only those ideas that actually work. If this kind of content is useful to you, then subscribe now, because what's coming next can change the way you think. Let's begin. First point. The real reason your confidence keeps breaking again and again. Think about it. You must have started something new at some point. A new job. A new goal. In the beginning, it feels like this time it will work. But after a few days, that same voice. I can't do this. I'm not good enough. I've tried before. And you end up right back where you started. What do most people think here? That they lack willpower. That their motivation is low. But Joseph Murphy says, all of that is wrong. The real problem is your self-image. Which means what you truly believe about yourself inside. And how was it formed? Someone said, you're slow. You failed once, I'm not intelligent. One embarrassing moment, I can't speak in front of people. That's it. One moment. One label. And the mind accepted it as truth. And then your subconscious keeps repeating that same story. On the surface, you say, I can do this. But inside, an old recording keeps playing. You can't do it. And the problem is, the subconscious always follows what is older, what has been repeated more often. That's why affirmations don't work. That's why motivation disappears the next day. That's why you keep returning to the same place again and again. Because you are changing the surface, not the foundation. Murphy says, until you change that inner picture, nothing will change. So what's the first step? Not more effort. First ask this. What do I truly believe about myself? And whatever answer comes, it will be uncomfortable. But that is your real starting point. Now the question is, how is this self-image formed? And how can it be changed? To understand that, we now need to look at the mental habit that is quietly controlling your entire life. And to understand this, you first need to notice one thing. Do one thing. Tomorrow morning, observe your first 10 minutes as soon as you wake up. What is the first thought that comes? Some pending task. Some unresolved issue. Some tension. And along with it, a feeling. Stress. Anxiety. Heaviness. This is not random. This is a pattern. That has been repeated so much that now it has become automatic. Murphy calls this conditioned thinking. Which means your mind keeps running on the same track without asking you. Think of it like a path where cars kept driving again and again. So marks were formed. Now the next car. It will automatically go into those same marks. Your mind works the same way. The thoughts that kept repeating became deep. The feelings that repeated became the default. And now, you consciously want something else. But your mind automatically goes back to that old pattern. This is the habit. Before every decision, it quietly asks, what happened last time? You failed. Can you even do it? And without noticing, you make decisions based on that. That's why, in the same situation, two people react differently. One moves forward. The other stops. The difference is not talent. The difference is the pattern. And one uncomfortable truth. This pattern is not just in the mind. It is in the body too. The moment a challenge appears, your breath changes. Your body tightens. Your stomach reacts. Which means, you're not just thinking. You're also feeling what you felt again and again. But the good part, what has been patterned, can also be changed. How? You don't need to erase the old groove. You just need to create a new, deeper groove. And the mind will shift on its own. But for that, you need to understand one more thing. Because the real reason why your confidence keeps breaking again and again, we haven't fully understood it yet. That's what we'll understand in the next point. Think of a situation. You're ready. Everything is planned. You're confident. And then, something small happens. Someone's comment. A small mistake. Someone doesn't take you seriously. And just like that, in 1 second, everything changes. You ask yourself, what just happened? Murphy says, this is not weakness. This is a mechanism. Your conscious mind, the one that plans, thinks, is just the surface. The real control, it belongs to the subconscious. And the subconscious always chooses what feels familiar to it. Now what is familiar? Whatever has happened repeatedly. Whatever was emotionally strong. So the moment a trigger appears, rejection, mistake, comment, the subconscious instantly jumps to that old feeling. See, this was bound to happen. You can't do it. And your confidence, it drops in a second. This is the moment where the game ends. But what's the truth? The trigger wasn't the problem. The problem was that old feeling that got activated. Murphy calls this emotional hijack. When your past starts controlling your present. And the most dangerous part, it happens so fast that you don't even notice it. You think, my confidence is low. But in reality, your confidence isn't low. It's being hijacked again and again. And this difference changes everything. Because now the solution changes too. You don't need to become confident. You need to retrain that feeling. You need to give it a new direction. And the question is, how does this work in practice? That's what we'll understand in the next point. A simple question. When you start something new, what goes on inside? Let's see. Maybe it will work. Let's try. This is not confidence. This is hoping. And the mind doesn't work on hoping. Murphy says, the mind gets direction when you are decided, not uncertain. But what does being decided mean? It's not about saying it loudly. Not affirmations. Not motivation. Being decided means a quiet clarity. A feeling where there is no doubt. Like you know, the sun will rise tomorrow. You don't doubt it. You don't force it. You just know. When this same certainty comes with an idea, the subconscious takes it as an instruction and starts moving in that direction. But the problem? Most people say, show me the result first, then I'll believe. But the mind doesn't work like that. First belief, then result. Now how does this work in practice? Look at an example. A man was failing every interview. He had knowledge. He had preparation. But the moment he entered the room, his confidence dropped. He started a simple habit. Every night, he imagined that the interview went smoothly. He was calm. People were reacting positively. No overacting. No forced positivity. Just a clear, quiet picture. Within a few weeks, his behavior changed. Same room. Same people. But a different reaction. Why? Because the internal picture of his mind had changed. Murphy's entire point is this. To change the mind, you don't need to change reality. You need to change the internal picture. And it changes. Through repetition. Through clarity. But there is one more layer here that we haven't touched yet. Repetition works. But only when it is combined with one more thing. What is that? We'll understand it at the end. For now, just understand this. Your mind accepts as truth the picture it sees again and again. So what's the real question? Not, can I do this? The question is, what picture is running in my mind right now? And if it's not right, start changing it. Right now. Because this is the thing that decides whether in the same situation someone moves forward or stays stuck right there. And what this exactly looks like. Understand it with a simple example. Two people. Same background. Same resources. Same opportunity. One moves forward. The other stays stuck right there. Why? Most people say it was luck. They had connections. But Murphy says this is just an excuse. The real difference is default assumption. Meaning, when a new situation appears, your mind instantly decides, this is possible for me. Or, this is not for me. And this decision, you don't take it consciously. It is automatic. This is the invisible line that separates people. Now the question. Where does this come from? From the past. From repeated emotions. From conditioned patterns. But here's the twist. The people who move forward, they also face failures. They also feel doubt. The only difference is they process failure differently. When something goes wrong, their mind doesn't ask, why did I fail? They ask, what now? This small question changes the game. Why did I fail? Takes you into the past. What now? Pushes you forward. One keeps you stuck. The other makes you move. Murphy says, successful people are not perfect. They have simply made this shift. Victim versus player. Victim. Why did this happen to me? Player. What can I do now? And this is not just mindset. It literally makes your brain move in a different direction. So think honestly for a moment. When life gives you a challenge, what is your first question? Why me, or what now? And this is where a psychological shift comes in. That completely changes how you see failure. One question. When something goes wrong, what is your first reaction? I made a mistake. I should have thought before. I am the problem. And this happens so fast that you don't even notice it. Murphy says, this is not self-awareness. This is self-punishment. And there is a huge difference between the two. Self-awareness says, this went wrong, what can I learn from it? Self-punishment says, this went wrong, because I am the problem. One moves you forward. The other keeps you stuck right there. Now the real point. What is failure? Murphy says, failure is an event. Not your identity. But what do? We say, I failed. But what is the truth? This attempt failed. This is not just wording. This is programming. One message tells the subconscious, you are the problem. The other says, this situation can be fixed. And the subconscious always follows the message it receives. Now understand one more difference. The people who bounce back quickly, they don't ignore failure. They reframe it. Every failure becomes a data point for them. This method didn't work. What needs to change next time? What is the next step now? This is not fake positivity. This is clarity. Toxic positivity says, everything is fine. But real growth says, there is a problem, but I am bigger than it. Murphy's entire point is this. You can't control failure. But the meaning you give to it is completely in your control. And the moment that meaning changes, failure is no longer an obstacle. It becomes direction. And this is where something interesting comes up. The connection between imagination and belief, which Joseph Murphy considers the most powerful. Because honestly, this is the thing that makes everything else work. So one question. When was the last time you consciously imagined? Not daydreaming. Not random thoughts. That kind of imagination. That you do deliberately. With purpose. Most people go blank here. And that's the problem. Murphy says, imagination is not a tool of creativity. It is the language of the subconscious mind. Your subconscious does not understand words. It does not understand logic. What it understands is images, scenes, feelings. That's why, when you say, I am confident, I am successful, but there is no clear picture inside, then for the subconscious, those are just words. Empty words. And that's why affirmations fail. Now the real game starts here. The subconscious mind does not differentiate between real and imagined experience. Which means, if you clearly imagine a scene, your brain processes it like a real experience. And the subconscious stores it as a familiar pattern. And remember, the subconscious always moves in the direction that feels familiar to it. This is the power of imagination. So what is the practice? Simple. Before going to sleep, when the mind is relaxed, For 5 to 10 minutes. Deliberately imagine the life you want. The version you want to become. But don't just see it. Feel it. Because imagination without feeling is fantasy. And imagination with feeling is instruction. This is the missing link. This is the connection that makes belief real. Now connect everything. Want to change your self-image? Imagination. Want to change the pattern? Imagination. Want to change direction? Imagination. Everything connects here. But there is still one last piece left. The one that will decide whether all of this remains just knowledge or becomes your reality. What is it? It's in the bonus. And if you've made it this far, don't miss it. And if you've stayed till here, then one thing is clear. You are not among the 90% of people who quit halfway. Now let's talk about that final piece that decides whether all of this will work or remain just knowledge. What have we understood? We need to change the self-image. We need to break patterns. We need to give the mind a new direction. We need to use imagination. But even then, sometimes nothing changes. Why? Because one thing is missing. Feeling. But not just any feeling. That feeling which comes when the thing has already happened. Think about it. When you receive good news. A warmth. A relief. A lightness. What does that feeling feel like? It's not the "it will happen" feeling. It's the "it has happened" feeling. And that is the secret. Murphy says, the subconscious responds when you feel that feeling. Right now, in this moment. Which normally comes when your goal has already been achieved. Which means, don't imagine the future. Feel the future. Now. That is the difference. Now how do you do this in practice? 3 simple steps. First. Choose a clear outcome. Not vague. Specific. Second. At night, before going to sleep. Imagine it. But don't just see it. Live in it. Feel that moment. As if it is already real. Third. Hold that feeling. Don't force it. Just let it stay. This is the practice. This is the missing piece. Now connect everything. Why doesn't the self-image change? Because feeling is not attached. Why doesn't the pattern break? Because the new experience is not felt. Why does imagination fail? Because it is only visual, not emotional. Why doesn't belief work? Because it is a thought, not a feeling. Murphy's entire message in one line. Feeling is the secret. What you feel. That is what your subconscious accepts. That is what creates your reality. Not think. Feel. So from today. Whenever you want something. Don't just think. Feel it. As if it is already yours. And then watch. Your mind, your actions. And your life. Start moving in that direction. And if we look back once. What did we understand today? Not just one. But many things. But the direction is one. Your confidence doesn't break. Because you are weak. It breaks. Because an old recording is still playing. One that you didn't create consciously. But your subconscious has already accepted as truth. And the good part? It can be changed. But not by changing the surface. By changing the foundation. Self-image. Patterns. Internal picture. Imagination. Feeling. These are not separate things. They are parts of the same system. And that system is your subconscious mind, which creates exactly what you make it feel again and again. Murphy's entire message in one line. Believing is not enough. Feeling is necessary. A small question. What if I told you that the direction of your life is decided not by your thoughts, but by your time? You also get 24 hours every day. But by the end of the day it feels like you did nothing. So where do those 24 hours go? There's a book by Arnold Bennett, How to Live on 24 Hours a Day. And in it, there's an idea that will show you managing time is one thing, and truly living time is completely different. Its summary is coming very soon. Don't miss it. And if today's summary helped you, then do one thing. Subscribe to the channel. Because here, you'll find books that don't just give knowledge. They deliver results. No theory. No lecture. Only ideas that actually work. Like it. Share it. And send this video to one person who needs this right now. And write in the comments. From today, what are you going to start feeling? This is Book Echo English, where we don't just read books. We read life. This feeling you have right now will fade in a little while. Don't leave it here. Right now, the 2 videos in front of you. Click on one of them. And don't let this momentum break.